Morning, everyone. My name is Reza Malekzadeh, and I'm the president of the French Tech here in San Francisco. And I'm very thrilled to welcome you to the very first French Tech America Online Summit. A whole team of volunteers have put a lot of effort to put together an incredible program for you today. You're going to have more than 3 hours of panel discussions that are going to cover a very wide variety of topics with people who are experts in their own domain. We're going to talk about cybersecurity. We're going to talk about gaming. We're going to talk about funding. We're going to talk about talent. All of the topics that are either going to contribute to helping an entrepreneur in their journey or specific vertical focuses that are going to help them as they develop their company in a specific area. You're going to have an opportunity to discover a very rich ecosystem of French tech talents across the United States. People who are going to be in places that you can guess easily, like New York, San Francisco, or Boston, but also Raleigh, Texas, and Canada, LA, and a whole lot of other places. You're going to be able to listen and hear directly from 50 of the most influential entrepreneurs, VCs, and industry experts who have agreed to come and donate their time and their expertise through this program. And I'd like to thank all of them for being with us today. I'd like to also thank all of the volunteers who helped make this happen and bring this program to you. And so today we're going to start with this opening session. We had promised a surprise. We had one, and then things change a little bit. So I'm going to ask my dear Alfred, who heads the French Tech in LA, to explain what's going on. Alfred, you get the mic.
Hey, thank you, Reza. Yeah, we were supposed to welcome Guillaume Lacroix, who's the founder and CEO of Brut, for the first exclusive interview. He was supposed to give right after the exclusive interview he's getting with the President Emmanuel Macron. He was supposed to give. Originally, this is the reason why we were not able to let you know, because that was a secret. That interview was programmed and but was not supposed to be disclosed, and it was supposed to happen in the morning. Then it was supposed to happen in the afternoon, today, right now, at the exact same time. And now it's pushed to tomorrow because of the big news of the death of Valéry Giscard d'Estaing. So, unfortunately, we won't have that exclusivity. But it's good to take a few minutes to talk about that, because we are talking about the French ecosystem, and here, for the first time in history, a Fifth Republic French president is giving an exclusive strategic interview to a non-institutional or non-traditional media, and this is meaningful. I'm saying strategic because in 18 months, of course, it will be the election in France, and the president has to speak to the younger generation, to the millennials, which are not anymore watching TV. And then why Brut? And it's good to take 1 minute to understand. So they lead the conversation of this audience, but I should say this community. Again, it's good for the French ecosystem. Tubular was saying, Brut is ranked #1 within Europe news media creator by unique viewers. Think about that. This is a French company that is, they are having 39 million unique viewers per month, where the second one, which is BBC News, is only at 23. So, and in the world, it's more than 300 million uniques and with 2 billion video views. But what is very specific to thinking about President, getting there is they need to speak to that younger generation. They need to speak to those social platforms, but they need a player that is cross-platform and that is, doing premium content. And what is very meaningful too is to have the 4 main institutional news media that going to broadcast the Brut Live of that exclusive interview. So so that was, we would have been blessed to have right after the interview Guillaume Lacroix with us. But again, talking about the French ecosystem, knowing the footprint of the global footprint of Brut, this is good to hear, good to watch because it's going to happen tomorrow. Then, sorry, a bit long but meaningful, I think.
Thank you, Alfred. I think it's meaningful in a lot of ways, and we're going to cover some of those because I think overall the ecosystem has come a long way. And these changes, what you just mentioned, is one of many changes, but there's a lot of changes in the French ecosystem. So we're going to cover some of that. And to do that, I'd like to introduce my fellow North America French Tech presidents. So Yves Delnatte from the French Tech Montréal. Good morning, Yves.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure.
And of course, thank you for being with us. And of course, Alfred, we just spoke a few minutes representing the French Tech in LA. So guys, you've been on this side of the pond for quite some time, and you've seen a lot of things change. What are the main changes you have noticed in your communities when it comes to the French Tech and the entrepreneurs coming out of this ecosystem? Maybe Yves, you want to get started?
Yeah, okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you for the next 3 hours anyway. I will try to share my point of view as a CEO or co-founder of INEAT VCs and president of Bleu Blanc Tech, the French Tech of Montreal. We all use the term since the beginning of the COVID, resilience. I don't know if there is a translation for this word, but it's a famous word. Everybody uses it, and it's everywhere. The right definition of resilience is maybe to be able to transform an accident, a situation with more strength. So when I say that, I say everything, but I don't know if there is a translation for this word. So if I fed up with this term, but in fact, we had no time we have never to give up, to keep growing. Don't forget that. Our resilience is maybe, for the French Tech communities, our DNA. The main changes I notice, because it's your question, Reza, I noticed a fact from French entrepreneurs. It's the number of connection and maybe synergy we had between companies in the same ecosystem. In my own company, we don't have borders anymore because we are working for projects from Shanghai to France, France for Canada, Canada for France, and we do the same. It's the solidarity we've got in the French communities, in our own companies, and all together. The solidarity is everywhere for me. What do you think about this, Alfred?
Alfred, how do you react?
Sorry. Sorry, something urgent came up to me, so I'm so sorry. I didn't get the last. Reza, can you make it?
I'll react actually because I've been in San Francisco for 20 years, and I must say when I came here, there was not much of a French ecosystem, and there was not much of a French network helping each other. That existed in a number of other communities, and in a way, I was envious and jealous, and trying to figure out why was it that there was not a strong networking effect, not a strong ability for the French to help each other. And being able to see how that has changed and how they have built upon the strength of each other is very, very exciting. If I fast forward to where we are now and see kind of what has been the path to date, I think it's incredible. You mentioned things around resilience, but it's also been hardworking, learning from the American ecosystem, being able to share that expertise among entrepreneurs, being able to help each other. And when I look today at not only people like yourself who are CEOs of successful French companies expanding internationally, but also French executives in very large organizations. And in my area, at Facebook, at Google, at Apple, at Twitter, etc. And this ecosystem helping each other is just incredible. And I think there's a very positive momentum where people help each other, where people share, and they have actually learned from the American ecosystem this notion of give forward. And I think that has been a big game changer in our ecosystem, and it's beneficial for everyone. 20 years ago, you wouldn't really boast that you were French, and at least there was not a super positive impression in the Silicon Valley ecosystem about French technology. And today it's actually getting better and better, and you see very pure Silicon Valley VCs going all the way to France to invest in startups. And that proves that they value that technology, they value those entrepreneurs, and they value that ecosystem. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, nothing to add.
We are French, right? But in Montreal, we are maudit français. You have to know that.
So guys, what strong trends do you see in your local markets or in your environments? Do you see any things that point out that are important locally, or in particular opportunities in verticals? I mean, Yves, what are the particular verticals in your ecosystem?
I think we don't need really only to grow, but we need to become bigger to fight against the future of this economy. We will see transaction and deal between startup and biggest company to innovate. For example, look, yesterday I think it was Slack with Salesforce. We have to become bigger. I always say to my French employees, grandir, pas grossir. So innovation is a good way to improve and change our business. So all the startups change their model, you know, our famous hackathons when we think as a startup, which is the priority for bigger companies now. So we help bigger companies to think about hackathon and change their model. So now we have to help them. We have to reinvent our model all the time, such as a famous company in artificial intelligence as View in Montreal. You know, they changed their model. In Montreal, 2 days before, has been sold to American companies. So we have to change. We have to think about finding meanings. That's the way of the future economy. If this application of software will be useful in the future before to go, we will need to solve a problem, not to be the problem. So it's not really a vertical, but it's to think before to go, maybe. So we always the book, you know, when I make my studies in Stanford for a few months, a few years ago, I've got the lectures about to cross the chasm from Jeff Moore. You all read this book, I think. And in the next 3 years, maybe it will take longer to cross the chasm now. So we have to change our mind and to think differently and to find maybe the right vertical to develop our company.
Right. And Reza, to your question, what strikes me, you know, it could be true for LA, but anywhere else, you know, now we can see it. It was already a trend, but we can see that now, you know, tech is everywhere. So bottom line, you know, tech was mainly the Silicon Valley in the past in the US, but we can see tech is expanding all over the US, and it's just the beginning, and the COVID is accelerating the trend. Because of course there's, you know, if you come to remote work, there's many opportunities to go in different places and work differently in places that is less expensive and so on. So that's one trend with COVID, but again, before that, this is, you know, tech is everywhere. So so in LA, for example, few data points. The first thing is it's the first places in terms of graduating of engineers. It's the number one place in the US. We didn't know that, you know, a few people just know that. But before they were just graduating and they were leaving. Now it's different. More and more they're staying. Obviously, LA is all about entertainment and is staying strong on that standpoint. But it's anything about new brands, you know, e-commerce, B2C trends. It's obviously strong in LA. But not only, space also has been, you know, strong in LA. Of course, SpaceX is leading the pack, of course, but there's a real dynamic there. But it goes beyond that. Again, it goes with the trends of tech right now that is in any industries.
Got it. Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of you know, great changes here as well. Not only people who come do some studies like you guys just mentioned, or you did, Yves, and stay and start their companies from scratch here. Or at least in the field of enterprise software, for example, a lot of French companies leave R&D back in France and come over here for business development opportunities, fundraising opportunities, as well as go-to-market opportunities. It's interesting to note that the US generally is over 40% of enterprise software budgets. And so if you are a French entrepreneur in that area, you're going to have one country, one currency, 3 time zones, one legal system that represents almost half of the spend from the customers out there. And it's very exciting to see that the entrepreneurs now have that global ambition and understand the perspective of what can be brought here. And we're seeing more and more of that. A little bit later, for example, in our cybersecurity panel, Pierre, the CEO of Screen, is going to be there. And Pierre came and raised money from the beginning in the US and started his company from the start here, and has been growing exponentially. He has gone back and opened an R&D facility in Paris. And so he makes the most of the 2 ecosystems. And it's very, very exciting to see that. So guys, if we think about it, again, when this all started a few years ago, there were only 3 French tech communities in North America. It was primarily in New York, San Francisco, and then Boston. Now we have about 10. So what has changed? Why did you actually, each of you, decide to invest in your communities and basically build them and do this volunteer work? Alfred.
Yeah. In fact, it goes with the maturity of the French ecosystem. Nothing happened in a day. It's been 10 years. The French ecosystem is growing, is getting to a stage that we have now, that later stage kind of investment and that ability to expand, to really expand in the US. If you look at the unicorns, as you were saying, 3, you were saying about the French tech, 2 years ago, only 3 and now 10. In fact, 2 years ago, you were having 3 unicorns in France and now you have 10. So it's at some point, it's very meaningful. Look at the investment, the tech investment in the venture in France. If you look, let's take, so this year, Q1 2020, it was 1.7 billion in France. And 6-7 years ago, that was 300 million. So it's 6-7 times more. So the point is, it looks good. Now we have the next 40, we have the FT 120. That is, it's not only because it was created, because it makes sense. We have those companies now. So definitely there's a lot to do, a lot to help that ecosystem. And the other point is, I think, part of the strategy is to activate the amazing diaspora, the French diaspora that is all over the US. And I feel it's still fairly under the radar. It's underestimated. And this is something that really needs to be activated. Look at the Israeli. This is probably one of their first strengths, weapon at some point. They are so good at activating that diaspora that is absolutely amazing. And I don't think we are enough, conscious of that diaspora that is all over the place in tech, at executive, roles, more and more entrepreneurs. Everybody knows Datadog now, Snowflakes, of course. That is becoming meaningful. You were not seeing a French, even if that was incorporated in the US, you were not seeing those companies, French entrepreneurs leading a 30 billion valuation, talking about Datadog, because the 2 entrepreneurs are still leading the company. So you were not seeing that kind of success story, and it's very, very meaningful. So our role is to activate that ecosystem. This is the way I see it. it's really important, and it's a key weapon for any company that deserves to become global through the US. That's the point to me.
Thank you. Yves.
Okay, I like this term, Alfred, diaspora. I think it's the right term you have to use. Anyway, I started in 2017 with an opportunity to develop my company Delnatte with the famous French tech, the famous, yellow French cock. Reza, be careful because your red cock is being beaten by a crocodile, I think. So be careful of this. So I started my company, with the first, I was the first company in neural technology in the north of France. I'm a ch'ti. Hello, ch'ti. 12 years ago, and with 1 million, we had from the French tech, we take a chance, not a risk, a chance to go abroad in China at the same time, and we go to North America at the same times, and go to other regions in France. So we take this chance to develop the company with money we've got from the French tech. If not, I never do that before. So we only try to wait the right time following our customers, and now we are 320. So thanks for that to the French tech. I wanted to take the French tech in lead. So when I moved to Montreal, it was normal to go to join the board of the French tech, and I take the mandat of the president just 1 week before the COVID. So it was a good move. The strength of the ecosystem, the Delnatte, is to connect actors between the ecosystem. So we are here to be helpful for the companies which arrive to go through new markets. Last week, I made maybe 3 meetings for next 40 companies which want to come in April, for example. So we have to wait because of the immigration border. It's difficult to come, but it's not so difficult if we have to wait a little bit, I think. I shared my office last year with one of them for 1 year. It was Coptalis, one of the 120 French tech companies, and OVH do the same for me. OVH, when I was just arriving in Montreal, share the office with me. So we are here to connect, and the diaspora is very strong. So we have a specialist for connect people, because as a president of the board, we all love meeting people and expand our contacts in Montreal. I have an announcement also. We just have the authorization of the French Tech to organize a summit in Montreal for the French Tech 120 in May, to connect them all in another summit, but maybe in real, not in online. I think it will be at the end of May, during the C2, another big event from Montreal. So maybe I have to communicate later about this event.
Got it. Thank you, guys. So this has been, a lot of positive stuff we've shared here, but let's be honest for a sec. It might become also a little bit bumpy. There's going to be either short-term issues or longer-term issues that are going to affect entrepreneurs who want to expand in North America. So what should they be prepared for? What's your counsel with regards to both short-term and medium-term issues that might be there?
We lose the signal.
I think we lost you, Alfred. Maybe Yves, you want to pick up while Alfred fixes his
bumpy
mic
ride.
problem?
I like this term, but with airbags to protect ourselves, I think. You have to be ready and connect with us. Trust us to be there to give you the contacts you need and make all the webinars on business trips you need to prepare it. Maybe you can choose the right track just after this opening show, but you've got many tracks, so make the right choice to be informed of the different opportunity you have during this online summit. I remember when I used to go to Stanford for a special startup experience. When we go back, we buy an office too big for us and open 3 offices around France and begin our business trip to open abroad. So make business trip before and try to be sure to go to the right place. San Francisco, you will say, I will say Montreal, you will say Boston, I don't know, but try to find the right town to develop your own company. To be honest, since I'm in Montreal, I'm more patient and stop to negotiate everything as a Latin, as a French. I'm a foreigner, I'm a body français, but who is able to listen before to go? So remember, I said before, take a chance, not to take a risk, but think that we will be in front of protectionism in Americas, in France, and in every country. So it's difficult for us to develop products or services if we are French. So we have to change our mind and to do something for immigration before. So French Tech is everywhere. So use us to share our common experiences with our connectivity of more than 100 communities now.
Okay, sorry, I've been disconnected, but what I just wanted to, say, because before, leading the French Tech in LA, I'm also I'm the founding partner of Red River West, which is a venture growth, helping the French company to expand in the US, to become global. And before I've done that as an entrepreneur, building a worldwide leader in the media space. The US is probably the most open market, so it's fantastic. The US dream is still there, I think, but never forget this is the most competitive market too. Never ever forget that. So please be careful. There's a lot to say about that. So we only have a few minutes left, but be careful to poor and unqualified network. Be careful to key hires. Be careful to product adaptation. Be careful to your go-to-market strategy. Be careful to your storytelling strategy. Be careful to the cultural gap. Be careful to loneliness. So this is, be prepared. So you are, again, in the most competitive market. It's not just about doing exactly the same you're doing in France and just replicating it here. You need to adapt your use cases, your whole strategy needs to be thought as being US first. So it's a lot of work. And so team up as much as you can and team up with tier one only players, because it's all about leadership being in the US.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I think that's kind of the key message for me, is that other people have come before you. Other people have hit bumps, have had positive and negative experiences. And what is great is that they're willing to share it. They're willing to take a minute to talk with you and answer your questions and give advice. And I've seen this happen more and more. I've seen this time and again. CEOs of very successful French startups that are taking the time to welcome newcomers. So I think you should be out there, ask your questions, reach out. People will help you. People will give forward. Today, we've tried to put together a program that might be the first start of giving some of those answers to you. We've asked for entrepreneurs and industry experts and executives to come and speak. People who are taking time out of their job and the journey that they're building to share some of their experiences. So we'd love for you to now pick the next session that you want to go into. There's a variety of sessions. All of them will be recorded and made available afterwards, but don't hesitate to pick the ones that match the closest your own needs. And know that there's a very vibrant and rich community out there. We should make the most of it. And everyone here is proactive in sharing what they can. So thank you, both of you. Thank you, Yves. Thank you, Alfred, for these opening minutes. Thank you, everyone, for attending this opening session. I wish you a great rest of program. The screen here displays the next sessions. Pick the one that matches the most what you're looking for. And thank you again to the large network of volunteers that have made this possible. Have a great rest of the program, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.